It's a Therapy Tuesday, Browns fans. Another loss, an inkling of hope against the Jags, smashed back down to earth versus the Giants in a game that everyone thought the Browns, including myself and Vegas sportsbooks, thought they should have won. We're going to dive into that. Get ready for Vegas, and then the fantasy football world is on its head. So I'm bringing in Garret, my guy from Dynasty Nerds, to help sort us through and get some waiver wire pickups. It's a big show. Let's get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Chubb Lubba Hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. Click notifications, subscribe, leave your comments. What do you think of the Browns? How you feeling? It's Therapy Tuesday. Let's get the feelings out today. Give us a follow on social, on Twitter, on X, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram and TikTok, at AndyMCSports. Got some good feedback about my instant reaction that we do after every game last week. That's going to continue. I thought maybe after a couple, day and a bit, my feelings would calm down. However, they have not over that debacle against the Giants at home. Another stinker at home for the Browns. We were now 1-2 with all the advantages there. The Bengals lost again. Ravens almost blew one. The Squealers are 3-0 somehow. I want to get to this. This is what is bothering me the most. Let's look at some stats here, okay? Coming out so far this season. The Browns are 25th in scoring. Remember, the offense was what Kevin Stefanski said needed fixing, right? That Ken Dorsey was brought in to put the offense back together, that it was broken. Looked pretty good to me last year. 25th in scoring, 16.7 points per game. 32nd in third down efficiency, 8 of 43. 16 sacks, 42 quarterback hits allowed. If that trend continues, Deshaun Watson's going to be dead by week 5. Okay? Those types of offensive numbers, you know what that reminds me of, what I get the inkling of? 1-31. Those are Cody Kessler, 15 baby carrot training type numbers. That's Cody Kessler numbers. That's Deshaun Kaiser, the other Deshaun. That's those type of numbers. That's flea flicker into triple coverage from your own end zone, Hugh Jackson crap. That's what that is. Here's maybe the most concerning of all. 3.47. This coming from my guy, Tony Grossi from ESPN Cleveland. 3.47. That is the Browns offense's average gains on first down. The league average is 5.4. It's down a full yard over a year ago, where Alex Van Pelt apparently somehow was the problem. When they go through 5 different quarterbacks and Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year for a second time, that's your issue. Here's my issue with people blaming Ken Dorsey. We haven't seen it yet. What do we know about Ken Dorsey? This offense is half in, half out. Kevin Stefanski's doing super jumbo sets in week 2 to win, which great, get the win no matter what. But then you're going back to try to prove Deshaun Watson's great. But then you're also not, because you're under center and you can't run the ball. Then you sometimes try it. He's holding on to the ball too long. Receivers aren't getting open, though. That first down problem is because of scheming. That's because of play design, Kev. Whose offense is running it? If we're going to say Ken Dorsey is a problem, can we at least give him a chance to be a problem? Because this is a half Kevin Stefanski weird offense with some Dorsey, but not. Let the guy call. If I'm Stefanski, Dorsey, guess what, pal? We're in Vegas. Let's get nuts. Let's roll the dice. Okay? You call the plays. Deshaun wants to be free, he says. He wants to run, wants to feel the game. I'm feeling pain and rage as a Browns fan. That's what I'm feeling. But you want to feel the game, Deshaun. Okay. Let him run. How about some design runs? Those look good. Deshaun showed flashes. Receivers drop balls. The offensive line is decimated. But you can't blame Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey is not to blame yet. Because his offense has not been fully put into place. Right? He just hasn't. Deshaun Watson's between the ears, man. Physically, he's doing stuff. This guy's holding on. What about that 4th and 1 where he dove and was short? Jordan Akins was open 3 yards out right there. Right there. Couldn't do it. He delays. He's not processing fast enough. Why do I have a $230 million quarterback that can't process? Andy Dalton won for the Panthers, just like I predicted he would, by the way. You can get 5th round picks. Jameis Winston can do this. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You want to see what Deshaun Watson can do. You brought Ken Dorsey in and blew the offense up that was working. You want that? Let him do it. Go all in. Give it a couple games. Okay. Then if it doesn't work, then blame Dorsey. You cannot blame Ken Dorsey right now. You can't do it because his offense isn't giving a chance. I don't know what the hell he's doing in the building. But that play calling, it looks lost. Stefanski looks lost. Everything looks lost. It's absolutely disgusting. And funny enough, on tiebreakers, you're still in a playoff spot through 3 weeks. Last wild card spot. And now you go to Las Vegas. Oh, and they're going to be pretty pissed off because they got embarrassed by the Carolina Panthers. Okay? That's where we're at. How do you feel, Browns fans? I feel pissed off. I want to know when the fun starts. I saw Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills run around having a good old time. Kansas City fans have fun. Squealer fans somehow always have fun. We don't got to have fun. I get to watch crap. And not even crap where the Bengals fans aren't having fun, but guess what? They put up over 30 points. That was an entertaining game. You think Washington's going to be an easy win now in a couple weeks? Not the way Jane Daniels played. He looked phenomenal. You having fun yet? I'm not having fun. Let's see what this offense is and see what Kevin Stefanski has up his sleeve. Because you better get some identity and some focus on this quick because it's getting old. Let me know in the comment section. Get us on Twitter, on X at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMC Sports. Click notifications on, subscribe. Let's bring in my guy. He's a Browns fan too. From Dynasty Nerds, head content creator. And this is another thing that's bugging me. Is all the fantasy football injuries. This thing's nuts. Let's bring in Garret Price on a Therapy Tuesday. Garret, sorry you had to sit through that, my friend. I feel good. I feel it's on the couch and notes were being taken by the therapist. And buddy, how are you?
I'm doing as good as a Browns fan can do at this point.
Boy, man, it's rough. It's frustrating, man. Like at least, like again, the Bengals are 0-3, but they're putting up points. Like it's
right.
We're getting
entertaining.
Yes, like these numbers, Garret. These numbers are Cody Kessler level. This offense is disgusting. Now, the one good thing from a fantasy football side is I had the hunch. And Amari Cooper, the way he was talking last week, big bounce back. Amari Cooper's that's a positive on fantasy for the Browns, right?
For sure. No, he had a huge game. He was giving the ball a ton, made some huge plays, got in the end zone. So yeah, he had a monster game. But outside of that, there's not much to really go off of right now. You can't trust Deshaun to put him in your lineup. Ford is at best a flex play right now. So yeah, so that's kind of the lone bright spot right now for fantasy on the Cleveland Browns is Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and hopefully David Njoku comes back at some point soon. We'll have to see. Let's run through some of the injuries, the chaos that is fantasy football through week 3. Garret, this has got to be the wackiest first 3 weeks I can remember. So injuries this week. Chargers, Justin Herbert, high ankle sprain. Devonta Smith has a concussion. Sam Laporta, and that whole tight end position, we'll get into that. Ankle. Adam Thielen out. Skylar Thompson, yeah, that's no loss there. Trey McBride, another tight end concussion. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, both Steelers running backs out. Brock Purdy has a back injury. And pretty much, yeah, the whole 49ers team if you're not named Juwan Jennings. Other than that, how else is your fantasy team, right? Like, come on. It's crazy.
Oh, man. And we've had so many injuries the weeks leading up. The interesting thing that has kind of surprised me is we've had a huge influx of injuries, and you could go back to maybe the lack of preseason for a lot of these guys has something to do with it. But now I'm probably going to jinx us, and now we're going to see it this week. But for all of the injuries that we've sustained, not many season-ending type of injuries. Lots of 3 to 4 weeks, short IR stint, but none of the season-ending injuries. So it's weird. High influx of injuries, but relatively small injuries. So it has been interesting in that front.
Yeah, very, very true. And this is where, as fantasy professionals, we have to really start diving deep. Shane, if you got under the wire, let's take a look at this coming up. And one guy, we talk about handcuffs, and the big handcuff coming in with Christian McCaffrey being the number one pick in most drafts was Jordan Mason. That's worked out great. Now, so Garrett, is the top handcuff this week to pick up, and I'm looking at his name here because I quite honestly haven't heard of him, Isaac Guerendo, 4th round rookie out of San Francisco, because now he's the primary backup, and we know with Shanahan, you can take seemingly no-name guys and they become superstars overnight.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. He's definitely towards the top of my list at running backs, but we actually have a few real interesting waiver wire type running backs this week. So I think even though he's going to be towards the top of my list, I don't know that he's my number one guy this week.
Okay. So, and you know what? I'm with you, because if you need production now, he's not going to be it. You're taking him as that safety net in case something happens to Mason. So you prioritize with it. I gotta say, I'm really surprised. And if he's still on, and this is probably somebody people should have been picking up a couple weeks ago, Bucky Irving of the Bucks, man. Like, boy, he has seemingly at least evened out with Rachaad White.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the top guy for me this week. I had been putting out some videos for a few weeks now, even before the season, on talking about how inefficient Rachaad White was last year. And the big comeback to that always was, well, we don't care that much about the ground game. We care about the receiving game. Well, they brought in a running back who was one of 2 running backs in college football last year to have 50 receptions. So that is coming as well. This is a guy that is just probably flat out just a better running back, a better player in Bucky Irving. We saw that shift kind of start this week. More touches on the ground for Bucky Irving than Rachaad White. We also saw 3 receptions on 3 targets for Bucky Irving. So now he's also starting to cut into the receiving work. And then you had the head coach come out this week and say everything that Bucky Irving has done, he's deserving of more touches. So I don't think that trend is changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm with you. And if you're a Rachaad White owner, like I am in a couple leagues, it's like, this is an issue now. This is a bit of a problem. He's I believe 56% of the Buccaneers rushing attempts, which is pretty wild. Any other running backs popping off to you? There's Cam Akers, who was pretty, bland, but if he gets another, there's not too many starting running backs available.
Yeah, there's 2 other names that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Another one that's kind of owned in the same percentage of leagues, roughly in that 30% range, is Braylon Allen. If he's still out there, definitely somebody I'm prioritizing. When you're talking about high-end handcuffs, if something were to happen to Breece Hall, this guy's a top 10 running back for fantasy football purposes. So he's towards the top of my list this week. So I'm definitely making sure I get him. But he even has a little bit of standalone value right now. 11 rushing attempts, 3 targets in the receiving game this past week. So they are prioritizing getting him the ball more often in these games. Now, Breece is still going to be the lead guy. Don't get me wrong there, but Braylon Allen's an interesting one. And then if you want to beat the waiver wire, you talk about Guerendo, a guy that might not play this week, but we might want to get ahead of things a little bit. I'm keeping an eye on Tyrone Tracy from the New York Giants. We've actually seen Singletary be fairly effective in this offense so far this year. Looks like a better line. The addition of Malik Neighbors has really opened things up for this offense. And Tyrone Tracy, great receiving back. He's already been used a little bit in the receiving game for this team. If something happens to Singletary, I think he could be a really, really interesting name. So if you got an extra bench spot, you want to try to get ahead of the waiver wire a couple weeks, Tyrone Tracy is a guy that I would keep an eye on.
I like that a lot, especially, with how we've seen Singletary be effective in this Giants offense. And you're absolutely right. Neighbors opens things up, and it's funny how that just helps everything. And you're able to thread Daniel Jones running as well. When we move to this tight end spot, man, like I am, I think, going to try to lead in a few of my leagues the campaign to just do away with the position, open up another flex. I can't. What are we doing? I'm looking. Colby Parkinson's looking good. Tyler Conklin. Like, these are like beer goggles 2 a.m. at the bar here, Garrett. Like, what are we doing here? These are terrible options. Kelsey's doing nothing. Laporta's doing nothing. Like, what do we do about the tight end spot?
The tight end, it's funny because coming into the season, it seemed like there was more hope this year for the tight end position than there had been in the past 20 years plus. We so many good young options, some veterans that have proven it year after year after year. And it seems like all together, they all collectively came together and said, hey, let's just suck now. Let's just be good. Let's just it's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal. Through 3 weeks, we have not had a single tight end have in full PPR. We have not had a single tight end have double-digit points each week. It's been rough.
Oh my gosh. To hear, I knew that, but to hear you say it, it's just that hurts, right? Especially with Laporta, Brock Bowers coming in, the new youth. They're supposed to.
Dalton Kincaid,
who caught a nice touchdown last night, but still,
he did.
It's a very bizarre position. Is there what's your advice to people on the tight end? Is it to sort of hold on where you at? Is there chasing a Tyler Conklin? That's interesting. Mike Gesicki has been talked about being worked in more to the offense. But to your point, nothing has really, it's all sort of speculative and hope, but nothing has actually materialized.
I have no problem adding some guys on my waiver wire, but I'm not prioritizing it at all. I'm looking much harder at, how's my quarterback playing? What's my running back depth? I'm looking at those types of things a lot more. If you want to switch somebody out and you want to go after, some sort of flyer, go for it. Your guess, honestly, at this point is as good as mine. Cole Kmet, a guy who I really like, I was very, very low on this season because, man, there's so many mouths to feed. He went off and had a huge week. It's simply just you're playing roulette at this point, and best of luck to you. So to prioritize it, I think it's just a waste of fab right now.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And now we get into the undesirable position of chasing. Cole Kmet had a great week. Well, guess what? Cole Kmet's getting his 3 points next week.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably. Yep. Right. And then you're chasing and you never catch up. What about the quarterback position? And sort of, not quite, because he wasn't on his couch. He was a backup, but Andy Dalton winding back the clock. And I thought, Garrett, last week going in, I thought that is a money play to bet money line on the Panthers winning against the Raiders, because you have that veteran quarterback to come in. Now, I thought the Panthers would pull off the upset. I didn't expect Andy Dalton to just light up the world. This team can catch short-term a little bit of momentum behind Andy Dalton.
Yeah. Canales is a really good offensive mind, and it was confusing the first couple weeks to see how bad everything looked, because when you looked at some of the underlying metrics, the offensive line actually wasn't playing that poorly. Guys were getting open. It was just, for whatever reason, it wasn't coming together. But throw Andy Dalton into the mix, and now not only is the passing game fixed, but now the running game looks amazing as well. And just kind of everything all came together beautifully. So yeah, Andy Dalton, if you're in a tough spot, he's an interesting name. You can even add in Sam Darnold to the mix, who right now he's quarterback 4 on the season after just lighting the world on fire. Now, he did get a little banged up in this game, but looks like there's nothing to worry about. He's going to be good to go. Is Green Bay this week, so not the easiest defense in the world to go against, but he's another name that if you're kind of looking to stream the position, he's another name that would be a good one to throw in there.
And it's funny because we are 1 week removed from talking so highly about Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield lighting it up surprisingly, and both of them coming crashing down. So it's again in that little bit of a chase mode. You try to get that a hot hand, or could Carr and Mayfield bounce back as well?
They could. They absolutely could.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see. Yep.
That'll be very, and I have to say, for Sam Darnold, I don't know if I'll ever internally be able to believe that he's good. I don't know if it's in me to believe it, but credit to the Minnesota coaching staff, and a lesson from Minnesota, where Stefanski was, and for New Orleans, where they had Clint Kubiak, same type of offense that Stefanski learned from. You're putting the quarterback, you're making it simple. You're making it simple. And these quarterbacks, Derek Carr and Sam Darnold, especially Sam Darnold, will not be categorized as good. And Deshaun Watson's supposed to be great, and it's working for them.
Absolutely. Yep. Scheme is huge.
The scheme is huge. Let's finish with some wide receivers here. Darnell Mooney of the Falcons, I've been keeping my eye on, has been very intriguing, because we always think Drake London, Kyle Pitts, but Darnell Mooney, 26% rostered only. And he's right around the same targets and snap count as Drake London there.
Yeah, he's a real interesting one.
Mhm.
Only one snap behind Drake London, or one target behind Drake London at this point. So yeah, I'm extremely intrigued by Mooney, and he looks kind of like that explosive element for this team. When you have a team where you have those big physical playmakers like London and Pitts,
Mm.
but then Kirk likes to get it to some of those quick guys to get some of the yards after the catch. Mooney's clearly been the top target for that. So absolutely keeping him in mind for me this week. Another one, Xavier Legette, the rookie from Carolina, who we were just talking about with the Panthers. Definitely keeping an eye on him. It looks like Adam Thielen's going to miss some time. So that's going to open up even more opportunities for this young playmaker that they took in the first round that they're going to want to get more involved. So he's another one that I want to keep an eye on.
And just another example of first round wide receiver talent that, Garrett, we see flood in every year, it feels like, right? And that's another frustrating part about this Deshaun Watson deal, if you're a Browns fan, is all that first round talent for those 3 years you don't get a taste of, you don't get a shot at.
Nope.
And we have to see everybody else do it. One more to go along with our getting ahead of things with Guerendo and I forget the other player, Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy. Emmanuel Wilson of the Packers, 3% rostered. Marshawn Lloyd went to the IR, so the handcuff to Jacobs is out. So maybe he's another one to kind of think about.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. He's looked really good in his opportunities, got in the end zone this past week. So yeah, he's a great one. If you have the roster space, and especially if something were to happen to Jacobs, they're going to need him, and he's looked good in his opportunities.
Definitely. Well, Garrett, man, tell people where they can find you. The work that you guys do at Dynasty Nerds is second to none. It's phenomenal. Tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Yeah. All my work can be found at Dynasty Nerds and dynastynerds.com, the podcast, the website, all of that kind of stuff. And then you can find me personally on X or on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. You can find me there at Dynasty Price.
Beautiful, buddy. Well, always enjoy having you on. Thank you so much as always.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Andy.
You too. There he goes. Garrett Price from Dynasty Nerds, head content creator. Always great getting Garrett's insight there. Some nice fantasy football pickup possibilities, right, for your waiver wire. And I like the getting ahead strategy here. I like that of, like we talked about with those 3 running backs, right? That Xavier Legette is interesting too with the Panthers. Certainly if you're a Deontay Johnson owner, PPR especially, I said as soon as Dalton goes in, feel comfortable playing him. And look, don't get me wrong, the Panthers still suck, like bad. But Andy Dalton gives them at least a bit of base, a bit of calmness, consistency. Guy who's won divisions. Remember, Andy Dalton won the AFC North multiple times. Didn't do anything in the playoffs. But who cares? That's fantasy football. That's not fantasy football's problem. So Andy Dalton and that Panthers team, all of a sudden, real quick. Jalen Naylor is another interesting ad with Jordan Addison out with injury, sort of a next guy up. And boy, if this Sam Darnold stuff keeps going on, then heck, why not? I guess. Who would have thought Sam Darnold is out playing Deshaun Watson? My God, what a world. Why am I living in this world? Derek Carr better. Oh, just outrageous. Just absolutely outrageous. You know what else is outrageous, but in a very good way, is DraftKings Sportsbook and all the goodies you can get by using the code SICKSPORTS. Just look at that on the screen there. Use the code SICKSPORTS. New customers get $200 bonus bets when you bet just $5 all on DraftKings there. So whether you call it TD, Tutty, in for 6, touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We don't care how they score. We want to bet on touchdowns. DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Right? Hey, I advised last week on Sunday's show, go with Amari Cooper. Right? That was paying off right there. Anytime touchdown, Amari Cooper, work there. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, make your pick, and you just scroll through. If you have a star player, you have someone you like, you check the odds, and you pick out your favorite player. Like maybe you think Amari Cooper is going to do well in Vegas. You go there again. You check out all the odds up to the second updates at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So remember, new DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the Sportsbook app and use code SICKSPORTS. That's code SICKSPORTS for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
There we go, people. All right. Now I got one early play for the Browns-Raiders game. And one thing we can hold our hat on, and we had to go back to it after week 1, was that Kevin Stefanski, after a loss, is now 22-9. I'm getting tired of having to quote that stat. Would like to rattle off a few wins in a row, but he's 22-9 after a loss as Browns head coach. So here is my DraftKings sick pick.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours.
I like this, and this is a quick same-game parlay you can jump in on at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So this is paying plus 156. Cleveland Browns money line, so Browns win. Over 18.5 total team points, which has been difficult somehow for this team. But if Stefanski can rally them, that doesn't seem too outrageous. We're asking for 19 freaking points. That shouldn't be hard for this team that fancied itself a conference championship contender at the least. Over 18.5 points. And over 1.5 Cleveland Browns total team touchdowns. That seems pretty sweet. Plus 156 is what you can get. And then check out throughout the week those anytime touchdown sets. I love parlay, stacking those legs together. And we'll get to more. We'll have our parlay party, our DraftKings parlay party, live Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, on X at Sick Pod Browns, the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube. That's why you click notifications on and subscribe, right? You'll also get up to the second injury updates, fantasy football tips. We were answering a bunch of questions live last week. Bets, Browns Raiders preview, going to be a ton of fun. So thank you so much to Dynasty Nerds' Garret Price for jumping on, for producer Shane, for all of you for the Therapy Tuesday Browns, letting me get my Browns frustration out. I want to hear from you, though. Get those comments in. Get those tweets in to me. At SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. Let me know how you're feeling about this Browns team. Hit me up. I know I'm not alone. Get it out. I feel a little relieved. So we'll be back on Sunday, and we'll be positive, and we'll go into Las Vegas and kick the Raiders' ass. You've been watching the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.